Analysis of The Lady of Shalott by Alfred Lord Tennyson.
Introduction.
Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem, The Lady of Shalott, is a captivating narrative that blends elements of Arthurian legend with Victorian ideals of womanhood and isolation. First published in 1832 and later revised in 1842, this poem explores themes of isolation, the role of the artist, unrequited love, and the tension between the world of reality and art. It's written in a lyrical ballad form, divided into 4 parts, each of which delves into the inner life and tragic fate of the lady.
The Lady of Shalott plot summary.
The Lady of Shalott takes place in a medieval Arthurian landscape near the river that leads to Camelot. The lady lives alone in a tower on an island, Shalott, where she weaves an intricate tapestry day and night. However, she is cursed and forbidden from looking directly at the outside world. Instead, she observes life through a mirror that reflects scenes of the nearby road leading to Camelot. One day she sees the reflection of Sir Lancelot, the embodiment of knightly virtue and beauty. His image captivates her, and she decides to look at him directly, breaking the curse's terms. This act of defiance leads to her downfall as her tapestry unravels, and she leaves her tower. She boards a boat, writes her name on it, and floats down the river toward Camelot, where she dies before arriving. The inhabitants of Camelot, including Lancelot, find her body and ponder over the tragic lady's fate.
The Lady of Shalott, structure and form.
The poem consists of 19 stanzas, each following a consistent pattern of 9 lines. The rhyme scheme is A, B, C, 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 B, with the first 4 lines of each stanza setting the scene and the final 5 providing narrative development. Tennyson uses a lyrical ballad style to evoke a haunting melodic quality. The repetitive nature of the rhyme and meter mimics the lady's monotonous life in isolation, and as the narrative progresses, the rhythm subtly accelerates, reflecting the lady's growing sense of urgency and desperation.
The Lady of Shalott themes and symbolism. Isolation and the role of the artist.
The Lady of Shalott lives in a tower, physically and emotionally removed from the outside world. This isolation speaks to the condition of the artist in the Victorian period, where art and life were often seen as separate entities. The lady's weaving of the tapestry symbolizes the artistic process, as she translates the world outside her window into her own artistic creation. However, the curse, an ambiguous force that keeps her from engaging with life, forces her to view life only through a reflection, suggesting that the artist is doomed to experience life indirectly. Her decision to look directly at Lancelot can be seen as a metaphor for the artist's desire to engage more fully with the world, even at the risk of losing their creative detachment. This tension between art and life is a central theme of the poem. By looking directly at the real world, the lady is able to experience life, but only at the cost of her artistry, symbolized by the unraveling of the tapestry and her subsequent death.
The feminine ideal and the role of women.
The Lady of Shalott represents the Victorian ideal of womanhood, beautiful, passive and isolated. She spends her days weaving, a traditionally female activity, and is cut off from society. The curse that keeps her in the tower can be interpreted as a reflection of the restrictions placed on women during the 19th century, confined to domestic spaces and discouraged from engaging with the public world. Her passive role shifts when she chooses to look at Lancelot, an act of defiance and autonomy. Her death can be seen as the tragic consequence of stepping outside the bounds of Victorian gender expectations. The poem suggests that women, like the lady, are trapped in a cycle of isolation, forced to observe the world rather than participate in it.
The mirror and the reflection. The mirror through which the lady views the world is a powerful symbol. It reflects her detachment from reality, allowing her only a mediated experience of life. Her life is a shadow of reality, an idea reinforced by the repetition of the word shadow throughout the poem.
When she turns to look at Lancelot directly, the mirror cracks, symbolizing the destruction of her insulated existence and the beginning of her inevitable downfall. The act of turning from the mirror to reality represents a shift from artifice to truth. However, the poem complicates this transition by making it fatal, suggesting that in Tennyson's view, total engagement with the world is impossible without self-destruction.
Camelot and the unattainable.
Camelot, the legendary court of King Arthur, represents the ideal world, a place of chivalry, beauty, and grandeur. For the lady, Camelot is the ultimate goal, but it remains forever out of reach. She observes it through her mirror, hears the sounds of life from her tower, and sees the knights and ladies passing by, but she is never able to join them. Camelot becomes a symbol of unattainable desires, whether romantic, social, or artistic. Lancelot, who embodies the ideals of Camelot, is the object of her desire, but he too is out of reach. When she finally sets her eyes on him, her fate is sealed, and she dies before ever reaching her goal. Lancelot's final indifferent remark about her beauty, "She has a lovely face," underscores the tragic futility of her existence.
Victorian context and interpretation.
In the Victorian era, there was a great deal of anxiety surrounding the role of women, the Industrial Revolution, and the growing divide between art and life. The Lady of Shalott speaks to these anxieties by presenting a woman who is both an artist and a prisoner of societal expectations. Her isolation in the tower reflects the limited opportunities for women who were often confined to the domestic sphere. Moreover, the lady's passive existence, observing life rather than participating in it, mirrors the Victorian ideal of the angel in the house, a woman who remains pure and removed from the temptations of the world. Her death after defying the curse can be seen as a warning against women stepping outside their traditional roles. Yet Tennyson also seems to criticize this passive ideal, as the lady's yearning for life and love is portrayed as deeply human and tragic.
Conclusion: the tragic tale of the Lady of Shalott.
Tennyson's The Lady of Shalott is a richly layered narrative that delves into themes of isolation, the artist's role, gender expectations, and the clash between reality and illusion. The lady's tragic fate, her death as a result of her desire to engage with the world, speaks to the inherent tension between life and art, between societal constraints and personal desires. Through evocative imagery, a haunting rhyme scheme, and rich symbolism, Tennyson crafts a poem that continues to resonate with readers as a poignant reflection on the human condition.